It's 5:32, so we'll call the April 26th meeting of the Metro Louisville Waste Management District Board to order. Welcome, everyone. First order of business, as usual, is approval of the minutes of the last meeting. The March 22nd meeting has everybody read the minutes? Does anybody have any additions, corrections?
No. Today I sent out a slightly revised to take care of a couple typos. There was nothing substantive in it.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that.
I will move approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional comments? All those approved by signifying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved.
Excellent. Mr. Schindler,
Yeah.
I do have an introduction I need to make. I know that
Sure.
we have the new director of the Department of Public Works, but I don't see her in the queue at this particular time. So at some point in the meeting, if she arrives, I would like to make an introduction.
Sure.
Of her. Okay.
You want to go ahead with the budget report?
Sure. So budget really hasn't changed much from the last meeting. We're still hovering about that 96% of expected revenue with still a couple more months to go. So I feel like that we're going to be well above what we had estimated in revenues. So in personnel expenses, we're running pretty much right on target. Operating expenses are probably a little bit lower, which is a good thing, and so is supplies. Equipment and outlay, capital outlay, the only reason that that's up there is because we purchased the EV and it went into that accounts string, which was more than we had budgeted. So that's the only reason it's over. We haven't had any other expenses. So right now we're running, our expenditures are running well under our expenditures. So at this point, we would have a $255,000 rollover at this point. Obviously, that's going to change before time goes on, before the end of the fiscal year.
Pete, the director's on here.
Okay, thank you, Amy. So do we, before we do that, is there any questions about the overall budget?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So I would like to, Director, are you there? Let me see. Director Kern. Okay, so I wanted to make an introduction to the new Public Works Director who was appointed just a week ago, I believe. Her name is Jennifer Kumasar Kern. She comes from to us. She's had experience in Metro government and been a professional engineer for 25 years. She's worked both in the public and private sector, and her previous, immediately previous work was as an engineer supervisor. Well, no, she worked for Public Works as an engineer supervisor before, but her latest position was with the Metropolitan Sewer District as a certified floodplain manager. So Jennifer, if you're on there, if you want to say a few words, if you could. I know that she has had technical difficulties with her computer, so if we can't hear her,
She's muted right now, and we may be muted too. She doesn't look like she's hearing us.
Yeah, I know that she's been having technical difficulties. Jennifer, let's see if I can unmute. I can.
Pete, she can't hear anything.
Yeah, I was trying to. we can, if she can come back later in the meeting, if she works on that, then that would be great. Also, Nicole George, Deputy Mayor Nicole George has joined us for the meeting today. And we always welcome her to any of our meetings. I think it's great that she takes the time to attend.
Welcome.
Okay, so until Jennifer can get, we can get her sound squared away, then we can move on with the agenda. If that's okay, Bob?
Yeah, that's fine. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I'm taking this this item out of order from the agenda. I wanted to talk about, I think it's number 3 on the agenda, but I recently attended a state recycling symposium in Pikeville, Kentucky. It had a lot of groups from around the state. It brought in people from, I believe it was North Carolina, and it also had people from the CERTIC, which is a recycling group in the South. And what we had discussed was that, the state of Kentucky is the only state in the southeastern region of 11 states that does not have a recycling association. And there's some benefits to that. And I just kind of wanted to bring this to your attention that I attended. I thought it was well run. And here we have Gary Loxton with the local assistance group of the Energy and Environment Cabinet out of Frankfurt. And I kind of wanted to introduce Gary and let him tell you guys a little bit about why the state of Kentucky is looking to do this and why it's important. Gary, can you hear us?
Yes, I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right. Hey, Pete, I really appreciate you inviting me here, and I thank you all for your time. I'll keep this real short, but I really appreciate you letting me speak to you for a few minutes. I'm Gary Logston. I'm Assistant Director of the Kentucky Division of Waste Management, and me and Pete go way back. We've worked together on a lot of items, a lot of projects over the years. So for many years, a lot of stakeholders in Kentucky have talked about forming a statewide recycling organization, and as Pete mentioned, every state now in Region 4, EPA Region 4, and really, if you want even want a bigger footprint of the Southeast, every Southeastern state now has some type of state recycling organization. The general idea behind these groups is to bring together all stakeholders from across all the entire recycling field. So, whereas, like for example, me as a state agency, we work great with our county governments, primarily in local governments. We know everybody, I know Pete well, we know all of our counties well. We don't work that well and don't have that many great contacts with industry. So a recycling organization would bring together folks from industry. It would bring together academia. At this meeting in Pikeville that Pete mentioned, we had, of course, UPike was there, but also University of Kentucky and Western Kentucky was represented. A lot of nonprofits are interested in joining a group like this, a few of which were represented in Pikeville. And when I say industry, not just, like the Rumpkes of the world who were at also at Pikeville, and folks that are in specific recycling industries like e-scrap companies or MRFs, but also what the value really is bringing in manufacturing industry that relies on recycled material. That's a very important voice in the recycling world, and those are the guys with deep pockets and the kind of guys you want to have on your side. So we had been talking, a lot of us across the state have been talking about forming a group like this for many years. It kind of came together real quickly. Kind of started to grow real quickly when UPike held this symposium last week. And we really stirred up a lot of interest among all those groups, academia, state government, county and municipal governments, nonprofits, across the board. Had a lot of excitement. And really, I would say a level of something that we've not had. We've been trying to generate for many years, and we were able to get a lot of people together in one room. Kind of feel like, me and Pete have talked about this offline, kind of feel like this is the time to strike while the iron is hot. Let's go ahead and maybe try to get an organization like this going. I don't know how much you want me to go in detail here, Pete, but a group like this would typically be run by a board of directors. You know, it's not something that necessarily the cabinet would be. We wouldn't definitely not want to be the face of this group. You know, we would definitely be heavily involved in it. I'm sure we would be on committees and have a member on the board. But the beauty of what happened in Pikeville 2 weeks ago is that we got a lot of people that had not previously been involved in things like this that really expressed a lot of interest. So it would be a very beneficial organization to have, specifically, I think, to Louisville Metro. And just would really appreciate Pete's verbal support, and he was very active in the meeting 2 weeks ago. So I would be happy to answer any questions, or if Pete, if you want to guide me to any particular thing we would like to talk about.
Well, the one thing that, I think that has been missing, Gary, and you can expound on this, is the fact that out in the state, I believe that recycling hasn't gotten as big of a foothold as what it could. And one of the biggest links that we need to expand upon is be able to connect with industry that needs the material that is collected that could be recycled. And by doing that, I believe that, we broaden the recycling diversion for the state, but we also potentially have created new jobs. And if you guys remember, in our 5-year solid waste management plan, some of the items that we have there is about making sure that we can find end users for certain materials. That's kind of the reason that this really piqued my interest, and I appreciate Gary being here to speak to it. But Gary, I think you did a great job kind of laying it out, and I would ask the members of the board if they have any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, by the way, for being here, Mr. Logsdon.
Mhm.
Thank you. Let me just throw one quick thought out there to follow up with Pete. Those of us in the world of recycling always cringe when you see the headlines and newspaper articles about, recycling's dead or plastics are all going to landfills, whatever. That's not really true. Recycling is still fairly healthy. But specifically when we're talking about, me and Pete both mentioned how important it is to have industry on board. If you talk to industries that are reliant on recycled materials, even plastics that people don't think of as very recyclable, those guys are desperate for sources of plastics. So there is a demand out there. There's a huge demand from industry out there for all materials, fiber, plastics, of course, all metals, even glass. There's a demand for glass even. It's just a matter of cracking the tough nut of getting the material from across the state to where it needs to be. So that is a specific thing that a group like this could be beneficial for.
So you would contact with industry reps to form an outreach to the different areas of the state for materials they need. I would think they would be a partner in this search to supply the raw materials.
Absolutely. And as our agency's already done a little bit of that, of trying to put together some of these big companies that are looking for massive volumes. How do we have those? How do we connect those guys with, say, smaller counties? Pike County was speaking about the specifically of that meeting. You got a huge industry either somewhere in Kentucky or even in outstate, even across the border in Tennessee. They need this material. How do you get it in truckload quantities from Pikeville 100 miles to a place that needs not truckload quantities, but thousands and thousands and thousands of tons? And yes, exactly. That would be I don't know if partnership might be too strong of a word, but that's when you get industry and these local recycling facilities in the same room together. That's the synergy there.
Well, I would just say that I'm a huge fan of recycling. I'm a big fan also of industry organizations. I've been with the Kentucky Aviation Association for a really long time, and that's really advanced airports all over the state, which Louisville doesn't need so much, but others do. So I think that this is a phenomenal idea. And I guess my only question would be, what kind of financial commitment are you looking for from our board? And are we looking for somebody to sit on that board, or is Pete, are you going to be doing that, or what are the logistics of it, I guess?
So from my point of view, obviously, I would love to be involved. I'm not sure as to what capacity. And number two, this is, as Gary said, this has come on kind of really quick, and we're trying to hit it while the hitting's good. And I brought this to Gary, and because I was excited, and really what we need is the ability to get this up and running. So it's kind of like a start. I was thinking of a pledge, and it's a significant pledge of 10,000. And right now it is just that, a pledge. If everything, all the stars align, and this thing's going to be a go. And I think Gary said that he had people that was willing to match.
We do have an entity. They're kind of in the same boat you guys are, you know, ready to jump, but also want to make sure it's going to happen before they commit. And so I'm probably not going to mention the name of that association, but we have a group that is verbally agreed to match whatever Metro could.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Sure, go ahead.
We have a certain set of things that we can spend our money on, which is primarily about Jefferson County. And obviously, as the state rises, so rises Jefferson County. So it's helping us, but a little more indirectly than we normally do. And I guess my other question is, are we allowed to be involved in this?
Well, I believe that we can. I think that this organization has participated and paid for SWAC, solid waste. Help me out, Gary.
Solid Waste Coordinators of Kentucky. Yeah.
Solid Waste Coordinators of Kentucky. And I believe
A is silent. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have participated in that before. And really, I think it does fit our mission. And the mission is basically what this board deems is our mission, as long as it's within the 5 years always management plan. But this only helps Jefferson County. The more people understand recycling across the state, the better opportunities are for Jefferson County. So I believe that while it might not directly impact, it can have an impact in other counties. It also has that impact here. And I believe that it would. Now, if we need to get an official legal opinion on that, I can do so. That's some of the things that we need to jump through to do this. Then we very well should do it.
I'm not
agree
asking for an official legal opinion. I think it makes sense to me that we can do it, that it's going to give more recyclables to our industries who use them. And it's going to give our industries who collect recyclables more places to sell them. And so that's going to help all of Jefferson County. And so, so it makes sense to me. I just wanted to be sure that
we can do it,
that it's okay, you know.
I think Mary Rose raises a good, I'm not opposed to this, but I think Mary Rose raises a good point. We probably ought to just double check it through the county attorney's office. It's something we've never really done. I think to give a grant to somebody, it would be a grant, an organizational a grant to get things started. So I would suggest, Pete, if you would, please just check with them.
We do have Natalie Johnson here from the county attorney's office. I don't know if it would be fair to drop a question on her at the spur of the moment, but what's your thoughts, Natalie?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't think of anything, but I don't want to give an opinion until I have a chance to look into this a little bit and talk to Robbie, and but we can definitely get you an opinion on that.
All right, we'd appreciate that if you would.
Yeah, of course.
So we're considering giving a grant to this association for statewide recycling association, and we're also asking that Pete be on the board.
No, I don't think we're specifically asking, because they haven't organized themselves yet. to determine how many people there are on the board and how the board gets elected and, you know, how the whole thing would be structurally organized. I don't think we're that far down the road yet, but they're just asking us if we would help get this started. And I think it's it can be a long-term benefit to both Jefferson County as well as the rest of the state. Because an association like this might also kick up some interest in industries that are in Jefferson County and for whatever reason are not as involved in something like this as they should be, and could possibly be a source of, or not a source, but a user of a lot of this material if we can generate more of it in certain streams. So I think it could only benefit Jefferson County in the long run, as well as the rest of the state.
I would also add just one other thing, Bob, and I see Bruce Blue has his hand up there, but just one last thing is I believe that has the potential to attract industry to Kentucky. If we can show that we have a material stream that is beneficial to them, maybe that's one of the boxes that they would click and say, yeah, we want to locate into Kentucky or even Jefferson County.
Bruce, did you have your hand up? Maybe Bruce is not hearing us either.
Bob, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, we're throwing like 3 or 4 different definitions here. On a legal basis, it might make a difference. Are we talking about a pledge, contribution, a gift? You know, in regards to what we can or can't do, it might make a difference in regards to what we call this thing.
Well, probably initially like Pete said, we would just be talking about a pledge that if the organization can get up and running, we would pledge a certain amount of seed money to get the organization going. Now, exactly what that has to be called legally for us to do that, we would be relying on Natalie to eventually tell us that.
Does that get you automatically a member if it's organized? Is that what we anticipate?
If I understand, Gary, if I understand you correctly, they're not even that far along to know that, right?
We're just at the point where we've established a group of very interested parties across the spectrum of folks in the recycling world that are interested. We're just going to have, probably our first organizational meetings here in the next week or two. But as we've all been saying, as me and Pete have both reiterated, there's some excitement there right now, and it would be a shame to not move quickly on this. So,
Bob, I have a question. And this is, I'm kind of flipping the script a bit, but could we initiate this effort and ask them to join along in our conversations and see where it goes?
Sure. Yes.
So instead of us joining someone else, could it be our initiative that we would follow along with them and then they would join in, because we would then be, the foundational group that was starting it with, and we could then put towards our initiative whatever seed money that we would want, and then, but we could bring in then whoever to help, however we want to set it up. Just a thought.
Pete, can you hear me now? Pete?
Yeah, we can hear you, Bruce.
I'd like to volunteer to head it until you get something going. I've been doing this for 50 years. I know all the industry. I know all the people. So I like to be involved and maybe start running it until you organize officially. I'll be glad to do it. I got plenty of time.
Okay, I'm sure Pete can put you in touch with Gary. What do you have in response to what Carl was saying, Gary?
Well, again, so we're getting a group of interested parties together to put together what this thing might look like. We're probably going to be modeling this after some existing groups, specifically probably Tennessee, which is and Louisiana is a recent one also. So we kind of have a vision of what the group might look like, but that's about where we're at. We've identified some more, the word people use is champions. We've identified a room full of champions and across different parts of the industry and government. And we're probably going to be meeting the next couple of weeks. I believe Pete was invited to that first meeting with Will Sager. Is that correct, Pete?
I was.
So we got Metro represented, I believe, on that initial meeting.
Yeah, I can't attend next week, but Will said that there would be follow-up meetings and he would get with me about what happened next week.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we authorize as a board? And I don't know if we need a resolution or just an agreement of board members. Why don't we authorize Pete to become involved in the formation of an organization like this and keep us posted as it develops to see how we, as the Jefferson County or Louisville Metro Waste Management District, how we can participate in getting something like this established and flowing. Does that work for you, Gary? Or
Yeah, sure.
I
You
would
need a
further
motion?
say, Bob, that we could also say that it's our intent to, if the county attorney decides that there's not a legal hurdle, to go ahead and pledge money toward this organization. It seems like we're all pretty enthusiastic about it. And I think that it would be helpful to that organization to know that they have some money coming as long as the county attorney thinks it's legal. So I would add that to our.
I think getting one pledge would hopefully start I think we could use that we could leverage that with some of these other groups. You know, we are Rumpke's expressed kind of in general terms a possibility of providing some financial support as well. And then there was this other group that talked about matching. So yeah, getting somebody to pledge first could give us a great tool.
were you getting ready to say something, Carl?
I was wondering, do we need to make a motion for this?
Probably would be best. Yes.
I'm gonna take a shot at it.
Okay.
So there's a lot of marbles roll around there. So I make a motion that we appoint Pete to be our point person for the development or the inclusion of a new organization that's looking into creative ways of recycling. I'm not sure, I'm lost. So someone help me out.
Well, perhaps we should add to that that if the organization can get up and running, that the Metro Waste Management District is pledging. I don't know if you want to do an exact dollar amount or just a general pledge that we will present. Yeah, maybe up to $10,000 that we will participate in the formation of a Kentucky Recycling Association.
Thank you, Bob. That's my motion.
Well, I think we should add the caveat that if the county attorney doesn't find a legal problem.
What Mary Rose said.
What Carl said.
You guys are going to make this difficult to write down in the minutes.
Send it to me early and I'll read it for you.
There you go.
This is called teamwork.
It is.
We have a multifaceted motion on the table. Does anybody care to second it?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion or comments? Okay, all those in favor, does everybody understand the motion? Is everybody comfortable with it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all those, let's make this official. Pete, would you call a roll on this, please?
Sure. Let's see. Susan Hart,
Yes.
Mary Rose Evans,
Yes.
Deetra Shipley,
Yes.
Carl Brazeley,
Yes.
Bob Lee, Deborah Thompson,
Yes.
Bob Schindler.
Yes.
Bob, Lee, do you want to enter a vote?
No, I'll abstain.
Okay. So we have 6 votes yes and 1 abstention. So the motion would pass.
Motion passes. Thank you all very much. And thank you, Mr. Lugs. And I hope this helps because I think Kentucky's been long in need of something like this.
I agree. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'll let you guys get back to your business. Thanks for inviting me, Pete.
Thanks, Gary. Have a good day.
Just to keep this on the official agenda, I think we skipped over correspondence to the board. It looks like there is none, but I thought I would just bring it up.
Right. There is no correspondence.
Okay, would you like to move on with the action items?
Sure. So the first action item is our annual renewal of our ReTrack subscription. ReTrack is a program that has been hugely beneficial to us as staff. We have a lot of licensees and others that report their annual tonnages on what they did in the previous year. That data is used in our annual report to the state. It has stayed the same price for a bit, $9,980. That comes with the licensing of the software, maintenance and technical support and professional services. To me, you know, it's a little bit pricey, but coming from the old system of a massive spreadsheet that was easy to just make a little bitty typo and have numbers just go haywire. This has made my life so much easier. And we've used this for about 7 years. And it's been great. And another thing that we use this for is for a thing called the municipal measurement system, where a lot of states, a lot of cities report into that, and it goes to the recycling partnership, and they create countrywide data and statistics on recycling in communities for the betterment of communities, for them to use that data to improve their programs. So it's a renewal. Nothing has changed since the previous years, and staff is asking for your approval to continue on this subscription.
For purposes, if someone wants to make a motion, what was the dollar amount again?
$9,980.
Are there any questions? Any additional questions of Pete? Does anybody care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Mary Rose. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Deethra?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional questions or comments?
I'm assuming that this also improves our accuracy. If
Yeah.
that was just kind of what I took from what you said, Pete.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just to explain that just a little, commodities get sold from one licensee to the other within the county. If we don't have this to help us find that, we would have double counts of the same material. So this will automatically add, subtract in that, when that material is going from one place to the other. So yes, it is really what really works well in that accuracy. Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll call the roll, Pete.
Oh, let's see. Robert Lee,
Yes.
Susan Hart,
Yes.
Mary Rose Evans, Deborah Thompson,
Yes.
Carl Brazley, Bob Schindler.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you all. The next item on there would be a sponsorship. This looks like it's worded a little bit at Louisville Bats Kids Day Out. Is that correct?
Yes, I pulled this straight from their site.
It says Louisville Two Bats. Whatever.
Yeah, I pulled this straight from an email, so I apologize. I didn't read it. Anyway, this is funny how this came about because I had gotten contacted by Louisville Bats organization asking what I thought was for us to come down and discuss improving their recycling program. I was very excited, brought Karen, myself, Diane, our other educator in anticipation. And what we got was a sales pitch, which was fine because she did a pretty good job of the sales pitch. So here we are. So it all worked out. And we just wanted to bring this to the board to see if they would want to do something like this. And, you know, there's a couple of different ways to go about this. One is the Kids Day Out, which you see the flyer on the side. And, you know, the Grand Slam would provide 250 tickets for deserving kids in the community. It would give an autographed Bats jersey. It would give 8 club level tickets, and we would get video board recognition during the game. And that video board recognition could also include a message of litter, you know, anti-litter and those types of things. So that's one way to do it. And there's other ones, and these are education tabling, and these are free, which I think, Karen, I think we intend to do these regardless. Am I right? Karen, am I right?
Yes and no. Well, we missed one. April, the one in April, there was no way we could do that. I think it was last week, maybe. So there were 3, I think, and we were looking at them. Personally, well, actually, I sent an email to Taylor today, but I didn't get a response because I didn't know if a table was included with the Kids Day Out because no. Did you have that?
Yeah, I had that conversation with her.
Okay, because we didn't get a chance to chat about it. Only because I'm not saying that it's not beneficial, but the education days are like field trips. So they're not with parents necessarily. There's just a whole bunch of kids. So we can talk to a whole bunch of kids. It's fine. I just sometimes like to catch those adults too, that are with them. But anyway, so we have not officially determined if we're going to go to the other education days. We were just in conversation and looking at the calendar. But yes, she invited us to set up a table, and I felt like there was still a fee to be able to put something on the board. Was that?
There is.
true?
That's the
Okay.
third item on the. Am I not sharing my screen?
No, I was going to say that too.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that, guys.
We all have it on our phones though. I mean,
How's this?
There you go.
yeah, there you go.
Okay. So the third item there was what Karen was talking about, the video board ribbon board messaging, and that's for 1,000. Go ahead, Karen. I'll let you describe this.
Yes. So if we want to have a presence there, I think it would be fun to be able to have something on the board as well, on their board. But of course, that comes at a cost. So it's up to you all on what you want us to do. But yes, being at the event and tabling for education days, that's a good opportunity for us too.
So I guess the question is to the board. We have, we can do all 3, or we can do 1, or we can do 2, or any combination thereof. So just want to get your thoughts and see what you would like to do.
Well, personally, I'm going to put Karen on the spot here. How do you feel that since it's mainly involving kids, there's no adult, I don't want to say supervision, as far as bang for the buck, getting the message out to who it needs to get out to? Now, I do know that a lot of times, some of the experiences that we've had in the past in going through schools and kids, if you get the kids the right way, they take the message home and pester their parents about it. What's your opinion is bang for the bucks from an educational standpoint, from what we're trying to do or what we think we need to do?
Yeah, I think it's hard. I find that tabling can be difficult, just because you don't, like, for example, we did Earth Day at the Brown School. I did it once as a table, and the next time I said, can I do a presentation instead? Because I just feel like I have their attention more when I'm giving a presentation. So, so my opinion on tabling for an Education Day event, I definitely don't want to give away stuff that ends up being litter, because
Right.
that is bothersome. But I think that we can definitely get creative, and, as they come and, have entice kids to come talk to us. And, we can, I feel like our message in that sense is typically going to be around recycling, or, just not littering, like, hold on, whatever the exact message. But, so I don't know. I mean, we can table, I guess, even just for free if we don't want to mess with the board message, which I don't even know. It's not even, I don't, it might not be up for very long, or if that's even for
Usually they're up for 10 seconds.
yeah, for a kids' day,
mean,
that might not be a great use of money. So we could still try to table, but on the education days, but then maybe the kids' day out, maybe having a video recognition when there's a lot more adults there might be good.
Any
That's
additional? Any?
I would say it's like really hard to not want to give some kids free tickets
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
ball game, but on the other hand, we have to be reasonable with our money. Carl, will you tell us what you think about this? You're a PR person.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think you guys on the head. It's always hard to say no to young people. Is there any way that we can tie into any messaging to the tickets? Then it could, then it could be a PR effort as well. So, I mean, there's several ways it could be done. I mean, we could say that, hey, you guys are ambassadors. We want you guys to be ambassadors for clean neighborhoods or picking up or whatever. But like I say, I think it really comes down to the budget. If we can afford it, it's a great opportunity to provide presence and to help out. Like I say, if our budget will allow it, it's always great to do some kids or whatever. I think, versus just buying tickets, if we could also tie in some type of messaging, then it could really be beneficial.
Any other comments, thoughts?
Yeah, Bob. I'm not for sure that we know enough about what we can and can't do in order to make a decision tonight. It sounds like we need more information in order to determine how far we can go with this thing and what benefits we actually do get. I mean, it's sure we can afford it. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But the bang for the buck, I think somebody said, is important, and it's not cheap. It really isn't in regards to the way things go. So I would, if we're interested at all, I think we need to get more information. Maybe not wait until can we wait? Let's see. Are we early in the season? I don't even know how long they play. But that would be my decision, would be to wait a bit and see what else can be available.
The idea of a T-shirt with the ticket, if you got a T-shirt and kids wear it around, that's a walking message board. So if we decide to do something, and if we can afford T-shirts, I think that would be an easy way to distribute the message.
Is there time to explore this more, Karen, or
I think from our end, we can do an education table without anything, right, Pete? Like, we don't have to do the video board.
Mhm.
I think the August 6th, we probably have some time to get more information if everybody was kind of, as far as money goes, leaning toward that, because it actually is giving a bunch of tickets away. And maybe see how those are distributed and to see what could be distributed along with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Karen, I was gonna ask, how are the tickets distributed? I mean, is it first come, first serve? Is it, in a certain section of town? I'd be interested in that also.
Well, I would just say, I don't think that people can even give tickets away. I know lots of Metro Council offices get tickets and with free hot dog and Coke or something, and they can't even give them all away. So I think the bats can't give away their tickets. So that's just my opinion from.
Yeah, if you can, Karen, if you can have some discussions with them, or some additional discussions, see, you've heard what our opinions are. I'm kind of like Carl. I hate to say I don't want to give kids an opportunity to do something they might not necessarily get to do, but then we have to have some reasonable tie into what we're trying to do to get, get the education word out there.
Yeah, I agree.
So is
Yeah.
that our task, is to go back to the bats and get a little bit more detail as to what we're doing, see how we can partner and get our message out to make sure that we are getting some bang for the dollars that we're potentially going to commit to this.
Yeah, just something just occurred to me. Is this a regular game, or is this just a kids game that kids are invited to?
I believe that it would be open to the public. At least that's the
Yeah.
way I took it.
Yeah.
So that,
August
you know, that
6th one.
that's something to consider. That makes a little bit of difference to me, that there is an audience there other than just kids. Because depending on what's going on, a kid might not even be looking at that video board, depending on what's going on in the field or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
I
if
would
you
say to the Louisville Bats, we are not a philanthropic organization that wants to give tickets to kids. If you can help us do our message and we can give a ticket to a kid in the process, we are all for that. But we have an obligation to spend our money on getting out our message about litter and recycling.
I think that's well put, Mary Rose. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, we'll wait to see what Pete and Karen can come up with, if anything. Pete, do you know if contact was established with the director yet?
Good question.
She waved.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. My computer died today at noon, so I got a loaner. I'm Jennifer Commissar-Kern. I'm the new director of Public Works, and Pete has given me quite a bit of background and briefed me on this board and all the great things you guys do. So I'm excited to be here.
Welcome. You're certainly welcome to attend any of these meetings you want. Good luck with your new job.
Everybody laughs
easy.
when they say that.
Not the easiest job in the world.
Well, I've got a good team. So,
Are there any questions of comments of board members?
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome.
thank you guys.
Thank you. Pete, old business.
Okay, the next item is for the litter abatement report, and Karen is going to take that one, and she would share her screen. Yes.
Okay, can everybody see?
Yes.
All right, so we received a presentation, kind of a quick call with Field Trip, who again is our vendor for the media outreach that we're doing right now. The campaign is It Adds Up, and she, let's see, Annie gave us this presentation. So we're at that measure stage. This launched at the beginning of March. So she wanted to give us like a 30-day report. And I'm going to go through this and do my best to explain what she explained. And if you have questions, just stop me, because I know some terms, I'll explain some things from my understanding, but I know some terms may be new to you. But this is just a reminder of what the campaign is. So It Adds Up is the tagline, plus in areas where a poster is, the neighborhood name is put there. And here's some examples. The billboards, which apparently I don't drive on these highways enough. I've not seen a billboard, but I have seen a lot of bus shelters, and they're around town with the neighborhood name. Has anybody seen these things around town?
I'm like you. I've seen the bus shelters, but maybe I'm not looking in the right place. I haven't seen the billboards.
Yeah.
I drive the highways, and I have seen them.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I've seen the billboards also.
I have to.
Good. All right. So, so this is kind of going through a bit about our programmatic display. So, so I'm going to be sharing some of the results. These are just the preliminary results. The goal, this is a 90-day campaign. And so this is the first 30 days here. And there's some little charts. This one, okay. So the banner ads actually have two messages. One is it's not hard to not litter. And now I can't remember what the other one says, but they did two at the same time to see if one seems to have a stronger effect. But they're not really seeing a big difference yet. Okay, so message one, it's not hard to not litter. Again, this is just for March. CTR stands for click-through rate. So this is, if this pops up, you can click to learn more. So this is kind of, the impressions is like how many people saw it, but the clicks is how many people actually decided they wanted to learn more. And so that percentage is 0.09, which sounds small, but it fits in the benchmark. So this is kind of like the, over here, the benchmark is where they want to see that number. So we seem to be on track pretty much everywhere.
Karen,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question? Where is the click occurring?
This is, let's
Is it
see.
social media or electronic?
Yeah, it's, hang on, let me see if it doesn't really specify. Okay, so here, if you see listed, they have native display ads and banner ads. So banner ads are kind of the more annoying ones that maybe get in your way or
while
kind
you're
of show
online?
up.
While you're
Yes, this is
online?
all
Yeah.
digital. It's
Okay.
all online. So this is like banner display is going to be like it's sometimes on the sidebar there's ads going on, but your content you're looking at is next to it. So but native display ads blend in. I have personally seen it come through, which I think this would be considered native display. I've seen it on Facebook. If I'm just kind of scrolling along, it just is there as if one of my friends posted it, but it says sponsored real small and it's our ad. So, so those are the two different kinds that there are. And then when you decide, when you see that ad and you're like, huh, that's interesting, and you click it, that's where you get that metric shown there. So out of all the 135,000 that saw it, 127 clicked it.
How does that, in the world of doing these type of ads out there, how does that stack up? Is that poor
Right.
performance or average performance?
No, this is like average. So over here on the left where it has benchmark, what you hope to see in the world of people that know about this, they would say you're doing pretty good if it's somewhere between 0.05 and 0.18%. And this particular message, it's not hard to not litter, is a 0.09%. So that's good. And then, yep.
One thing I could add to this that was, I think I remember is good, but she didn't put it in Annie didn't put it in here, was the time that people stayed on the page.
It's on there.
Oh, it is?
We're not there yet.
Okay, my bad. Sorry.
That's okay. So the click-through rate for this message, when you see it pick it up, that's the other message, is just a slightly lower click-through rate. So that's what she was saying. One message does not seem to be getting more attention than the other. So it's not hard to not litter is slightly higher. So those are the metrics for those ads. Okay, that one actually says native display on this one. So those were the banner displays. Now, native displays, typically you want to see a little bit higher of a click-through rate on native display because of the fact that they're not so annoying where people tune them out. You know, they're kind of off to the side. These sort of blend really well when you're on the internet. So that's why the click-through rate should be a little bit higher, and it is. So we have this 160,000 impressions with 417 clicks and a 0.26% click-through rate, which is still within the benchmark. Okay, another method that they're using is the streaming audio. I don't stream a whole lot of audio, so I also have not heard this one myself, but I know one of our enforcement supervisor, Whitney, told me that she has heard our ads. So they are 30 and 15-second ads, and so you might just hear it. If you are annoyed by it and you want to get through the ad, you can skip it. And then, so that's kind of a benchmark for this is completion rate. So if you listen to it, the whole thing, that's good. And we actually have a 94.8% completion rate. So as you can see, 116,000 received this audio and it started, and 110,000 actually let it play and listen to the whole thing. So so that's actually higher than the benchmark. So we're doing pretty good there. Now, also, if you are streaming audio, it's on a device typically, whether it's your computer or a phone. And so there's also a banner, but people don't always look at it because, you know, they're just listening. So they may not even have their phone open. But if they do, they can click the banner. So there's been 54 banner clicks. So that's a little bit lower, but it's not really expected to be a very high click rate. And that was the 15-second one, which of course is easier to take because it's a little shorter. A 30-second audio still has a higher than the average completion rate. So that's pretty good too. Okay. Social ads. I guess Facebook, my Facebook ad I saw was not part of the display ads. Yeah. Okay. So social ads currently run on both Facebook and Instagram. There's 255,000 users and then 606,000 impressions. So I think with the users, that's showing that's unique users. CPM, which you're going to see on the next slide, stands for cost per 1,000 impressions. So it kind of shows how the price ends up being. So in this case, 606,000 impressions reached this many people. We got this many clicks, and therefore the cost per 1,000 is $2.51, which is lower than that. All right, and then this is what Pete was getting at. So when they click through, they're actually going to the district website. There is a landing page. So if you haven't been to it, it just is colorful, bright, and gives some quick little statistics and info. And so the traffic site of the whole website is up, but again, our website is not really out there like a lot of people looking at it, but it has gone up. And then she was pretty impressed by the fact that users are spending an average of 4 minutes on the site. So there's some engagement there with the content. And I will say, I have a little recycling quiz on that website, and I get notified when anybody takes the quiz. And I've gotten quite a few notifications that people are taking the quiz. And there is a button to contact us if you want. And we've had 10 people contact us. And Rob Lush is actually helping with that and responding to all of those people and either giving them more information, connecting them to resources, answering questions, passing along their concerns, whatever it may be. Okay, so this is what they basically said about our initial 30 days. We've got a lot of impressions, so that's good. It's getting out. This is an awareness campaign, so it's getting out to audiences. We've had the engagement with the ads, with the clicks, is within benchmark. So that's good. Audiences are also seeing our message through traditional tactics like the posters and the billboards. And so at this point, they could, the reason they kind of look at it at this point is to see if anything needs to be changed or tweaked as we move forward, but everything's performing as they expect. So, so they didn't want to change anything. And I think that was pretty much it. So I'll go ahead, let me make sure, yeah, we'll go ahead and stop sharing, and we can keep answering questions if you all would like or have any more.
Many questions?
Nicole George says, how do metrics relate to outcomes? I think that's a tricky question because at this point, as far as measurables, you know, this is awareness. The measurable, all we can really say for sure is how people are engaging with this campaign. I think anecdotally, you know, we're getting some interactions with people, which is good. It's not so much, it's not so much about like getting our name out there or anything like that. We barely have anything on there to show where this is coming from. So it's really an awareness and trying to get people thinking about the impacts of litter. You know, the pictures are a little jarring, I guess. So kind of getting people to think about how their actions can make a difference negatively or positively.
I think one of the ways that we can do this, and you know, is one of the goals in the 5-year solid waste management plan, is to improve perceptions of cleanliness in the community, because that's really a huge driver, because everybody hates the way our roadways look. So doing surveys, I think, is a possibility, because we need to hear their attitudes towards the community, if it's getting cleaner, if it's not. So that's one of the areas I think that we could possibly measure whether or not we're proving the perception of in the community of our cleanliness.
Carl, do you have any impressions on this?
Oh, I think Carl had to leave, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. Okay.
And he's been, you know, he was with us when we were kind of helping, like planning all of this. So I'll actually, I don't think Pete has emailed it out, or I don't know if you did email it out, but I will make sure Carl sees that because I didn't know he was going to have to leave before that, and I would like to make sure he sees some results.
I guess
But-
what my kind of answer to Nicole's question is that when we started the campaign, we were trying to do an education and awareness campaign. So our metrics were kind of related to how many people we're getting the message to. I guess the implication there is that if we don't tell them about not littering, then they're not going to think about it. So what we're trying to do is raise awareness. And I'm trying, maybe we need to look into what other groups have done to see how their education has turned into action on the part of people. But we did not think of a metric for that in advance. So.
Right. And, you know, my hope is that we continue to do these campaigns. You know, the board was gracious to give some money for like an annually, or at least this year. So I hope that we can show that there's some positive results here and that it's a good spend of the board's money and continue. We've brainstormed about the next campaign and doing a focus on recycling. But I think a lot of these things are going to build on each other. And if we continue to do campaigns one after another, I think it'll be kind of easier as we go along to continue to build on it so we can move away from just awareness and move into more action.
It's probably important for continuity. We need to keep it. We need to keep it out there. If you just do a one shot and then walk away, you probably haven't spent your money well.
Yeah, some of the other items that we had talked about was specific actions that cause litter. And, you know, that's, you know, like people driving down the road in their pickup trucks with stuff flying out the back, which is a lot of the litter that gets on the highways. A lot more pickup trucks, a lot more people using fast food, particularly during COVID, using drive-throughs instead of inside of restaurants. So all of those things where drivers have increased litter, but looking for individual actions that we can target and educate people on so that they don't intentionally litter.
Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you, Karen. I'm assuming we're going to get these updates on a periodic basis.
Yeah, we probably, I think once the campaign, I think they do a 30-day where they really give us some big results. And then after the 90-day, we'll have a whole other presentation about how it's gone.
Okay, thank you and your team for working on this. Put waste in its place.
So the put waste in its place is something that we just had our first meeting about with Field Trip, and we're in the brainstorming phase of what we want to do. And our focus in here is going to be on recycling first, I believe. So we're just in that beginning phase. Want to let y'all know that we're moving to this. We'll probably bringing Carl and hopefully people from West Rock and from Rumpke to kind of talk about, because they're the two MRFs or the people that accept recycling, so that we can use them and we can do some recycling messages. We're kind of working on whether it should be that recycling doesn't end up in the landfill first, or if we want to focus on reducing contamination first. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And, just want to let y'all know that we were working in that regards as well.
Yeah, that's kind of a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other thing. Do you try to dispel a rumor that's out there, or do you just try to actually get what's going on and increase the rate of it?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a both message because, the recycling doesn't go to the landfill. It's targeting people that are not current recyclers. Reducing the contamination is current recyclers doing it better. So it could be a dual message, but we're not sure how that would work yet.
Yeah. One of the things that always bothers me when I see stuff like that is those reports that stuff doesn't get recycled, it goes to the landfill, may be true in certain places. But when you look at what's actually going on in Louisville and the fact that we can prove that the stuff that we're collecting actually gets recycled, we end up on the bad end of something that somebody else is doing in in other locations.
True. I think that one of the biggest impacts that we can have is getting people to tour a recycling facility here. Every person that walks away skeptic at first, and after they're done, they're like, wow, I did not have any clue that took place. So I wish we can line up every citizen in Louisville and run them to the recycling facility.
Yeah. I
But,
wish we could.
right now, we're going to try to focus on key stakeholders such as the apartment association, and that's when we're working on improving recycling in multifamily properties. And we have made a pretty decent impression on them, and we are continuing to work to develop that. We've identified 4 properties that we're going to start to do as pilots to see if what impact we can have in increasing recycling at those facilities.
Okay. There's no other questions or comments. We'll move on to new business.
Okay, tornado event. Thankfully, we've had a good run of good weather. We were getting pretty beat up. The most recent storm after the windstorm was we had 3 tornadoes in Louisville, all EF1s, thankfully. They particularly hit 2 different locations. One was out off of Dixie Highway near St. Andrew's Church, and the other one, 2 of them were out in Newburgh. And I put those maps, these maps came from the National Weather Service. They do an analysis. Anyway, once these storms took place, we do what we normally do. We go out, we look to see where damage is. We look at reports of trees down to the power company, and then we try to target opening up drop-off sites. In this instance, we found that pretty much everything was located in these 2 areas. The top one out off of St. Andrew's Church Road, if you look at that map closely, you can see that it really wasn't close. It was in like a more industrial rural area where it wasn't on people's property. So we didn't have much debris there. But in Newburgh, we had quite a bit. But you had 3 different levels of debris. You had one that was large trees that had to be handled by contractors. You had a periphery of that was bigger, larger branches that would have to be taken to a drop-off site. And then further from that, you had smaller branches and twigs that would be set out in your current, yard waste collection curbside. So we ended up opening up 2 sites, one there at Fleet Services, which if you're looking at the bottom map is right there, very close by, just past the Champions Trace Lane, which was a great site. And we opened that one up, and we opened up the Waste Reduction Center for anybody else. People could drop off those for free. They were fairly lightly attended, and they closed this past Saturday. The next item on that agenda I wanted to bring up and part of this is the tree debris and shingle disposal options. And I can tell you right now, well, as of a week and a half ago, our capacity or the facilities capacities in the community to continue to accept large amounts of tree debris was, I mean, we was pretty close to being out. I spoke with Matt Smith today, who took a lot of the debris from the previous windstorm, and he's breathing a little bit easier. He's been able to process a lot and been able to move the material. So, you know, as long as we don't get another major storm real soon, he feels like that we're in a pretty good position. Shingles have really been a problem. We've lost pretty much most of the recycling infrastructure for recycling shingles, as we know. And there's two places that was accepting them. One is full, cannot accept anymore. And the other one is almost full. And we allowed them to store shingles in a little bit of a place that it wasn't a problem, but it was okay for because they had an outlet for these materials. Last thing we want to do is get big piles of shingles and then they sit and they don't get processed. So right now, I think a lot of the shingles that are out there, we're getting calls on it daily. Much of that is going to landfill disposal, which, you know, that's not where we want it to go. We want it to go into to be recycled. So goes back to one of our 5-year plan specific items about trying to get these types of materials to be reused again. We would love for the shingles to get processed into roadways. So that's one of the things that we're working on in that regard. But at one point, if we was to get another storm, there was the potential for us to call a special meeting and ask for a declaration from the mayor's office to waive certain ordinances that allow tree debris to go to the landfill, which is not allowed right now. So I think that situation is easing and where we don't have to worry about it, at least for now. Any questions on the storm or the debris? Okay. The next item in new business is the update of the MOA, or it's actually not really an update, it's a renewal. You know, I haven't put any kind of changes into it, except to go to a 5-year term instead of a 3. But otherwise, it's the same MOA that we had signed in the past. We have not taken it to Metro government to look at, but this is your first look at it. Is there anything in there that is you guys have an interest in changing at all?
I don't.
I'd have to say, Pete, that as busy as everybody is, really haven't had a chance in order to review it. You said there's not many changes. You're saying there's no reason to have a red line copy in order to be made since there's not many changes.
Well, the only change is the word 3 to 5, and that is the only wording change. So that really isn't the need for a red line version.
And what's the reasoning for going 2 more years?
Just to make it easier for staff. I'll be honest with you, that we don't have to revisit it so often. It is in there that if either party wants to reopen this MOA, they can at any time. So it doesn't keep it from being opened. It's just extended the term in which it's valid.
It's been 3 years since I can remember, correct? It hasn't changed for 3 years.
That is correct. That is correct. And, you know, we don't have to do that. If we want to say, keep it at 3 years and do the renewal as it currently exists, that's certainly something that I would support as well.
Well, it's one of those things I think that people probably put on the shelf and don't remember in order to determine if they want to make changes, which to me means that it would be better to have a shorter period, a 3-year period, instead of extending it to 5 years would be my comment.
I think that's a good point.
And right now, you're not. This is not on the action items. You're just you have gotten it out to us, and you just want us to take a look at it, correct?
That's correct. And this is a start to see if there's any changes that need to be made. I need to take it to the Metro government side to make sure that it's okay in that regard. If they want to make any changes, I would come back to you and say, hey, this is what the other side wants to do. So at this point, we don't have to do anything. If people want to take the next month to review it, or if they want to say now we don't really need any changes, move forward, that's up to you guys.
Hey Pete, this is Nicole. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just a quick question. Were there not other advantages to a 5-year contract over a 3 as it related to investment in the facility?
Investment in a facilities such as
Well, within whatever facility would be collecting it.
well, this MOA doesn't really define who collects the material. It's basically the agreement between Metro and the district on how funds and resources would be shared, since we both kind of sit in the same office, and it's Metro employees that work on district operations. So I don't think that it would impact any kind of facility accepting material whatsoever, other than recycling facilities who accept materials from the public.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Bob, I would recommend that we get a chance to look at it a little bit more and pass it on to the next meeting next month.
Oh yeah. There's no action proposed for this meeting. Yeah, I was just gonna say if you're looking for some late night reading, please take a look at this before the next meeting.
Well,
Maybe you shouldn't do it late at night.
Bob, I had my late night reading last night, so I've already looked at it. But I was just wondering if Pete wants kind of a straw poll of the board to see if people are in favor of the 3 or 5 year, if he takes it to the city. I mean, so that you know what you're taking it to the city with.
If you guys
would that be helpful is what I'm asking.
If you guys have a preference, you guys want to give that to me, I will take that preference and put it in there as the proposal.
Mary Rose, I object to that. I don't think it's a good way of proceeding. I think we need to review it and wait till next month in order to make our decision.
So you don't think you should take it to the city yet?
No, I don't think there should be a straw vote on it or anything like that.
Well, it wasn't on it. It was just on the 3 or 5 year thing.
Understand?
Yeah, I don't think we need a straw vote right now.
Okay.
No, just
I can
please,
live with that.
please, everybody, if you get a chance, take a look at it, refresh yourself with what it concerns, and then we'll talk about it at the next meeting, probably.
Cool.
And be prepared to do so. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we need to do. Yeah. Thanks, Bob.
Advisory committee report. I don't think Bruce here right now.
No, Bruce has been sick, so
Oh.
he wasn't able to attend. But I will just share, we just kind of a reminder that we did adjust the full committee schedule to every other month while we do work in the subcommittees, which are meeting monthly. So so far we've just had one meeting for each subcommittee. We did not have a quorum for education, but we did go ahead and kind of discuss and go through the education related actions from the 5-year plan. And I think one thing we're going to do is gather some materials. I was just looking at it today because I thought, oh, I have an action to do. But we're going to gather some materials from the like NWRA or other haulers or in materials that they have for the community and any methods of engagement. So that way we can kind of see what's out there already. We're not looking to reinvent the wheel for any of our toolkits and you know, any resources we want to offer. We're more looking at making things more consistent for the county. So anyway, so that kind of goes along with those specific actions, which you should be very familiar with after all the work we did on that 5-year plan. And then we also had a contracts subcommittee, which again is going to go through prioritizing and deciding what to work on when it comes to the ones related to contracts, the actions in the 5-year plan. And Pete, do you have anything you want to share from that subcommittee meeting? Again, we've only met once and we were really kind of getting that discussion started, so not a whole lot has happened.
Well, I can give a little bit of an update. Part of several of these has to do with getting these specifications ready for a contract. And the group really kind of wants to bring in some stakeholders that can give insight into what could possibly be in those specifications. So one of those, and I think could be, if I'm not mistaken, it could be one of the things, well, it's one of the things I know I'm working on, is maybe bringing in CEDRA, which is the Construction and Demolition Recycling Association, to bring Adam from Innovative Crushing, who is on the committee, to give a presentation, and potentially like a Dave Wicking, who's done construction and demolition recycling in the community. I know Matt Smith also has an interest in some of the material, so he may be able to speak to some of those things. But basically, the committee is starting to lay the groundwork and educating themselves before they start creating any kind of specifications.
And you can see, which Bob, I know you'll do the announcements, but those meetings are listed. And so the upcoming month of May, we will have our subcommittees again, and then the following week, an advisory committee meeting, because we did not meet as a full committee in April.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Do you have anything else? Any questions of the board? Okay, see no staff report. We
No,
pretty
sir.
much had a staff report.
Yeah.
Okay, announcements.
The only announcements that we have is actually part of the agenda. Next 109 board meeting is May 24th. The education subcommittee and the contract subcommittee is May 9th. The first one, education, is at 2. The contracts is at 3. And the next advisory committee is May 17th. And that would be 4:30 to 6.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments from the public?
Bob, this is Jerry McGraw. If I might, one comment and then a question.
Mm-hmm.
You had a motion earlier, and I'm traveling most of the evening. I finally have gotten to my home, but I've been out of state and have been in the vehicle, so I haven't been able to take notes or anything. But you had a motion earlier, which related to $9,900 some acquisition of some software, I believe. And the motion that was made on that was, I make a motion the motion didn't say, is that to approve or disapprove? And I think just as a kind of technical matter, I guess that we need to have something where, were they voting to approve that motion to make the purchase or motion to deny the purchase? I think we all presumed it was to purchase, but it didn't say that. Then Karen, if I understood on your digital advertising, and I wasn't sure if you were saying 116,000 or 168,000, and I'm sure clicks, whatever it was, but then 100, in one case, 127 actual clicks or something of that type. If we extrapolate that to the entire population of Metro Louisville, are we looking at less than 900 actual contacts? And if you need to call me on this, you've got my number. Just, it was a concern that I had. Is that all we're getting out of that expenditure?
Sorry, I'm trying to think, or I opened it back up myself here. So as far as impressions for the number of people that are seeing, it's depending on what we're talking about, is ranging from like 135,000 to 160,000. Audio is 94,000. So that's the, or no, 102,000 on that one. So that's like the number of impressions or listenings or viewings. Is that what you mean?
Well, my understanding was that basically if it comes up, and I wasn't sure, and that's where my question was, if it's coming up, is that, you've got 100, I think one of them was 116,000 or so, whatever that was, impression, somebody looking at it, coming across their screen, and a 0.09% or something on that. Why don't we just, why don't we just talk by phone rather than keeping everybody busy? It just seemed to me like it was what I'm extrapolating. If I look at the entire population of Louisville, we're getting less than 900 people actually looking at it.
The percentage was the click rate. So of the people that looked at it, it's the percentage of those people that actually clicked to learn more. So, so sure, if you're gonna extrapolate the number of people that are clicking to learn more, then yeah, that's gonna be small. But again, this is awareness campaign. So, so the big number is the people seeing it. But yeah, I'm happy to talk about it offline.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, not a problem. Any other questions or comments?
I have one. It's Bruce.
Yes.
Back on this association thing, I'm all for it. Pete Flood, you know this, and Bobby knows this. A lot of the questions or things he brought up don't make any sense. Like everybody knows where every pound of scrap is in the state of Kentucky. Everybody knows who's generating every pound of scrap. And steel mills just don't come in and put in anywhere, and people don't bring businesses to Kentucky to have anything to do with scrap recovery. We've got to explain this to him, what's going on, so when they start this committee, it is not a fiasco. If you understand what I'm saying.
So if I could, Bruce, and we can talk about it a little bit more offline. I think that the impression is that there's industry out there that could be using the materials that are collected, not necessarily adding additional recovery facilities, but adding end users to the materials that
Oh, you're talking about to use the scrap or the recycling that's generated?
Yes.
Well, okay, we can talk about that. I promise you, the people that are looking for recyclable scrap, they know where it is.
Okay.
I promise you that. I've been doing this too long. I promise you, I can tell you where every pound of plastic scrap is being generated. I don't even handle plastic scrap. So, I mean, the deal is great. I mean, it's the best thing we can do, but this guy wants to invent a lot of things he said just don't make any sense. But I'm all for it. So, you know, I want you to give me his name, and I want to contact him. And I'm going to contact the lady at the mayor's office too.
Okay.
So send me his information, please.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, Bruce.
Bob, do you think we should address Jerry's question about that the motion was unclear to him? about the money for the software. The way I understood it is that you or Pete said that you all wanted a motion to approve it, and somebody said they would make that motion.
We
The
were,
minute should reflect what that motion was, that it was to approve the money. And I think everybody understood it as a motion to approve.
to approve renewal costs.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I guess, Natalie, is that enough of a technical question that we should go back and review the recording to see if somebody actually said this is a motion to approve, or is this just a motion?
I said it's just a motion.
You all can go ahead and I would just
Yeah,
re-motion.
let's just redo it. That takes care of it without reviewing something.
Yeah.
Right. I'll make a motion that we approve the 9,000, just under $10,000 to renew this contract.
I second it.
Can you make that a little more specific, Mary Rose, and just say that it's to approve the retract subscription?
Right.
Oh, okay. I will amend my motion to say I would like to make a motion to approve just under $10,000 to approve the retract subscription.
Thank you. Was that seconded by Deetra?
Yes, I'll second the rescinded, I'll second the updated motion.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, since this is a budgetary issue, call the roll, Pete.
Bob Lee,
Yes.
Susan Hart,
Yes.
Mary Rose Evans,
Yes.
Deborah Thompson,
Yes.
Deetra Shipley,
Yes.
and Bob Schindler.
Yes.
And Carl is not on the meeting anymore. So motion passes 6-0.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's no other questions or comments, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Susan Hart makes a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Deetra Shipley second.
Very good. Thank you all very much. We are adjourned at 7:09 p.m. Thank you all very much for your time and participation and patience.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Night.
Night.